Canadian. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another nice episode here of Land of Many. It's the ITC special Land of Many. Of course, I have got the sports ball crew here with me today. We have got, of course, that hot take spitter, that man that rips like Dotline Spits. He is that man.
You know, it's your boy Mace, ready to go.
And of course, we've got the gasoline fire thrower. And just every time he sees some fire, he just like, throw gasoline. Let's make it as crazy as possible. He is that man, the ITC's resident troll. That man, Daryl.
I need one match.
And of course, we have this week's interview subject, and that is my guy, long-term friend here, a man who has had a very interesting life. And I just want to share some of that with you guys here. He is one of the best men that I know. And I know he's probably like, stop trying to give me compliments, but I'm just being real. One of the best men that I know. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Blaine Vess. Blaine, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, Jerome. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, of course, thank you for coming in. But of course, we have to get things rolling here because I know I'm on a time crunch because I got a movie to catch today. If you see the shirt, y'all probably know what I'm going to see. But but regardless, we have to start. And of course, with the most basic question of them all, Blaine, tell the people a little bit about your journey to where you are at this point so far. Give them a little feel because I know the journey. We've been friends for my whole life, so like I know the things that you've went through, right? So tell the people a little bit how you now have gotten to the point that you are.
Okay, cool. So I'll give you a really high level and let me know if you want me to dig into anywhere specific.
Cool.
But yeah, I grew up, as you know, in Darien, Illinois. Went to elementary school, junior high, and high school there. I ended up graduating from Naperville North. I moved in with my dad when I was 17 years old and lived there for a little bit. Started a company called Student Brands. It's now called Student Brands. Back in 1999 when I was a freshman in college. Long story short, my friends and I ended up bootstrapping that company, self-funding it for a number of years, running it out of our house together, eventually getting an office all the way in 2011. And ended up selling the company to a company called Barnes & Noble Education in 2017. And I skipped over an important detail, but basically what we did, how we started out was we were basically a platform for students to share course notes and research online. And the company eventually evolved into essentially a holding company of a bunch of different ed tech websites, applications, stuff like that. That's kind of my core journey. I moved to California in 2002, finished school at San Jose State. I ended up interning here in LA at the movie company New Line Cinema while I was still in college, which brought me here, and I'm still here. I've been here a long time. But yeah, those are kind of like really high level details of my journey to here. But happy to share more wherever you'd like to go.
So let's talk about here. Let's start here. All right. So you've already got the company going, right? You're trying to make your moves. Now, how did you end up at New Line? What got you there at New Line? And how was that the choice that you made to say, I'm going to go and jump into this field a little bit? Because here, I'll tell you guys a secret. See, he's being all bashful, right? I'll tell you guys a quick secret. Blaine was trying to make movies when we was all younger, okay? He ain't going to tell you, but I'll tell you. He probably has the tape somewhere in Henry's house hidden away where we was trying to shoot a movie a long time ago when I was a kid. I'm telling you, boys. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's true. I did like making movies when I was younger, and as you know firsthand because you starred in some of those movies.
That's right.
But
You actually put him on a movie. Oh my goodness. That's a level of friendship I don't know if we at yet. You can't be a part of my production.
Strong trust.
Jerome is such a good actor when he was a kid that I remember we did this like fight scene in the street at night in where my dad lived in Western Springs. And Jerome was like laying in the street down, and a car came down the street and had to stop. And Jerome's still just laying there. So
Hey, I didn't hear cut. It's dedication to the role. Okay, I did not hear cut.
You
I
thought
needed to
the
make sure
car
I
was
did
a
what I had to
prop
do.
in the movie, bro?
Hey, who knows? Maybe, who knows?
I mean,
I'm not the director, so I don't know. Maybe.
no, he's a good actor, man. But yeah, so I moved to San Jose in 2002. I didn't really know. I had never been there before. I thought that I wanted to work in Silicon Valley, and San Jose is there in Silicon Valley. I was like, all right, I'm going to finish school at San Jose State. San Jose is a cool city, but not, not exactly where I wanted to be. And I guess more importantly, I was applying for internships in the area and wasn't getting any bites. And this was 2002, after the dot-com bubble burst. And, it wasn't the best time for Silicon Valley. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to try to apply. I always liked entertainment. I'm going to try to apply for some internships in entertainment. And I ended up interacting with Sony Pictures, something else. And then I was like, I happened to be watching a movie and there was like the New Line Cinema logo. I was like, oh, I always like that company, or I always like their movies. And I searched Google for like New Line executive or something like that. This was before like LinkedIn was super popular. Now it wouldn't be hard to find anyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But back then it was harder. But I stumbled upon this guy named Gordon. I ended up emailing him, seeing if he would let me intern there. He asked me some questions via email. We ended up talking on the phone. And he said, come on down for the summer. So it was pretty cool. I mean, I had also never been to LA. So when I was driving down there for the internship, that was my first time being there. And I ended up just loving it here. And thankfully ended up working for Gordon at New Line after my internship, after I graduated college. And he's still, my wife Esther and I see him and his wife every week. So still like a really, really good friend. But that was the intro to entertainment.
And so, all right, so you got in there, and clearly your relationship with Gordon developed into something long term. So what were the things that got you down that road to where you guys' relationship started forming, starting with your time being there and working for him?
Yeah, I actually think about this a lot because I didn't know, a lot of people when they have a boss, they treat that boss so differently. They have that like boss employee dynamic or something. And I didn't know that was a thing. So I don't know. I knew my place, but I treated Gordon like a friend from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I even learned this later at my company because I tried to treat some of my team members like friends, but I kind of realized at some point that there is a boundary in certain people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say like with Gordon, we got to know each other. It's funny, like actually probably some of our bonding happened. He asked me to come to their house to fix their Wi-Fi a number of times. So I ended up staying over for dinner. But actually, I remember now, even when I was still in college, I came to New Line. I came to LA and New Line for that summer. And then I had to go back to San Jose to finish
Mm-hmm.
school. Even when I came back while I was in school, I took them out to dinner, Gordon and Otsko. I made a real effort. I made a real effort to like stay in touch.
Mm-hmm.
And those early days, those dinners and hanging out together at their house and stuff like that, it's not typical, but we just kind of like hit it off, but there was effort, I guess is what I'm saying.
It looks like it paid off for you too.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting parts I have to ask is, without getting into too many details, what are some of the interesting stories you've got just from being, because I know you were in his office directly.
Yeah.
What are some of the stories that you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I was sitting around and I was privy to that? You don't have to give all the details. Don't want to get nobody in no legal trouble about anything, but what are some of the things that it was like, okay, that you even learned from those situations that you now have taken and applied to what you were doing on a daily basis?
Yeah. So because, like you said, because New Line didn't have a big budget for internet marketing, especially back then. This is, 2005, 6, 7. Um, Studio executives in particular were not the biggest believers in the internet. So New Line had 4 full-time employees that were focused on sort of internet marketing. There wasn't much office space, so I sat in Gordon's office. He was like, 10 feet over from me, and there was like a conference table. So I sat there and worked every day. I also sat through, he didn't usually ask me to leave when meetings were happening. So I was sitting at a table where meetings were happening, doing either my work for New Line or work for my company, whatever it was. So yeah, I mean, just being in that room alone, like just being there, I saw certainly hundreds of pitch meetings, people pitching different services and stuff like that. I think one of the more interesting ones was, you guys probably maybe remember this movie Snakes on a Plane, Samuel L. Jackson movie. These guys came in and they pitched this technology where Samuel L. Jackson would call you, and they recorded, like, it'd be like, "Hey, Jerome, I know you're probably watching some sports game right now back in Chicago." Like, they plugged in so many variables, like sports game, Chicago, LA, New York, all these different things. So you would get this like custom message from Samuel L. Jackson. And I still remember the company. It was called Veritalk. And it just ended up being this massively successful campaign because people were having Samuel L. Jackson call their friends. So just seeing like how that went from pitch meeting in this office to like massively successful campaign was really cool. So I got to see a lot of that stuff. There were also meetings with, like, I remember the director of Wedding Crashers talking through the internet marketing campaign. And I didn't know this until later, but he was probably at that time, I don't know, white dude in his 40s or something. But he before then directed like Tupac's I Get Around video, something else. Like, I looked at this guy later. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. But so I just, got to meet a lot of characters, got to, see a lot of interesting things launch, sit through a lot of meetings, stuff like that. It was fun.
So during that, like, what was it like managing the workload? Because like you said, you were still in school at the time, you had your own company and you were interning there. Like what were like the workloads like for you, like daily or weekly or
Yeah. So the workloads were pretty heavy. And so like in 2003, I was interning there for that summer. I ended up working there starting in 2005. But like for the internship specifically, I, I rented a room in Hollywood. I had my company. So actually at that time I went into New Line 5 days a week. So it was like 40 hours a week, unpaid internship, which I'm a big believer in. Actually, I think that time was so valuable. Thankfully I had my company. It was making a little bit of money so I could go in unpaid. But yeah, I was, so 40 hours a week at New Line. I would come home, work on my company. So working into the night pretty much every night, but enjoying it, maybe go out in Hollywood after doing some work. And then with school, that summer I didn't have any classes, but I remember, this is how they do the unpaid internship, or at least they used to. I got college credit for doing it. So I had to do this like independent study thing, and I had to write a paper about my experience there as an intern. So that wasn't too hard, the school aspect of it. But yeah, I was busy. I was busy for sure. It's kind of nonstop.
So in comparison to now, because look, let's just put it funky fresh, right? You're still a workaholic. You still, because you love what you're doing, it don't always feel like work to you, and you can lose track of the hours, right? So in retrospect now, comparing it to
Yeah.
how much time you invest now, would you say that time at New Line was a greater investment, or you maybe have a little less time than what you had at New Line now?
Yeah, I definitely had less time then. I enjoyed that time though. Like now I am actually trying to be a little smarter about the way I work. Because I was really nonstop then. Now I'm like, I actually read this book last year called Chained to the Desk, and it's about workaholics. And I've just been really trying to not be busy just to be busy, or not apply workaholic tendencies to even non-work things.
Mhm.
Like last year, I was using this to-do, like this productivity app, and I had put a crap load of things in there that I had to do every day, including like reading a book for 30 minutes a day.
Mhm.
And look, I mean, it's good to read. It's I believe in it and I still read, but I don't have a thing where I have to read 30 minutes a day.
Mhm.
Like I've really cut back on a lot of stuff. I still work hard, but back then I worked a lot more. Back at New Line, back when I had my company, all that kind of stuff. So I've just been really chilling out these last couple of years.
So what has been the hardest thing for you to give up to help try and get more towards a balance, right? What is it that has been the biggest challenge for you to say, okay, I have to be better at this so I can get more balance into my life?
Yeah, the biggest challenge was changing my email habits. I
What do you
li-
mean by that?
yeah, I lived and died by email for right now, I mean, probably 25 years. Going all the way to back to AOL of like, you've got mail, like that whole thing, you know? And I think like email, they talk about kind of like social media addiction and the highs, that the dopamine that comes from seeing a like or seeing someone commented on something, stuff
Mhm.
like that. I think for me, it was similar with email. The, seeing something new come in, hearing a sound, all of that kind of stuff. And email for me was this trap. It's like wake up right away, start answering emails. New ones are coming through. So it's like, oh, okay, I was gonna go do this, but no, I'm gonna work on this email thing
Mhm.
that this person needs from me. And I think like a couple things changed email for me. I was at this event and someone said, email is everyone else's to-do list for you. So everything coming through, it's really like, hey, do this, hey, do that,
Mhm.
whatever. But then you get stuck in like this to-do list for everyone else. So that was helpful mentally. I was like, yeah, I don't really want that. Um, and then I read, it was actually a couple books. This book, Essentialism, I think it's called, and then Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week.
Okay.
Both of them talk about briefly this idea of checking email once a day or twice a day. And that was the biggest shift for me. I use this software, it's called Mailman. And
Mhm.
basically it hides your email until you want it to be seen. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so now I have it come through at 11 a.m. It only comes through then. I can then knock everything out. It comes in at that moment and then it stops. I can
Mhm.
knock out everything that comes through, usually within an hour or two. And then
Nice.
I can really focus on everything else, whatever else I want to do, whether it's fun, other work stuff, anything. And that has just freed my mind to a completely different level. But it was a big change, really big change.
So now, okay, so your emails, your day used to start with emails. Now,
Yes.
what have you done to replace that? To fill the time? Because I know you. You're not gonna just throw away the time and say, I'm gonna sit around twiddle my fucking thumbs for a couple hours, right? You're still gonna find something to do. So what is the adjustment that you've made to say, I'm gonna fill the time with this, and it's gonna allow me to have greater success in what I'm trying to do?
Yeah. So what am I filling the time with? Every day is different. It could be working out. And I give that example because if I were to work out at 9 a.m., I'm not thinking about what work I have to do because I don't
Mhm.
even know what emails have come through. Like my mind is actually very present there.
Mhm.
It could be, Esther and I launched this non-alcoholic wine last year. So, we might be doing some sort of meeting or something related to that. We're in the process of buying a wine bar
Ooh.
here in West Hollywood.
Hey, when you buy it, let me know. I will make sure I come take a flight for the grand opening. What a grand reopening, I guess it would be, right?
Yes, please do. So, there's stuff related to that I'll focus on. And then there's, I do investments. I still do startup investments
Mhm.
at a, decent pace. So sometimes I'm talking to founders or something like that, but it's all done without having to think about email or what's come through or all that kind of stuff. So at this point, I'm still learning. This is only like probably a less than a year change for me, but a massive one. So I'm still
Mhm.
kind of figuring out what this will look like.
So now I have to ask, because you say you throw in a little bit of workouts now, because I'm over here trying to get myself smelt too. You know what I'm saying? Me and Mace over here trying to be like, baby, trying to make sure we look good for summertime, get them summer bodies, right? So
Nah, it's gonna be a winter body for me. Summertime, I've already thrown that out the window, man. It's already summertime here, bro. The high in Houston today is 95. It is hot.
Oh my
ooh, I want no parts of that. 95. I mean, it's like probably about 70 already here, man. And
That's our low. That's our low today, 74.
Oh goodness. All right, so I have to ask you. I want to touch back on something with New Line. Okay, so at New Line, yes, you ended up going into the tech, but see, we skipped over one thing you did right in the middle of all of that, where you took a little foray into TV. So I have to ask, what was that? Just a continuation of your lifelong passion of saying, I want to make TV, I want to make movies? Or was that like, hey, I've learned some things here at New Line. I think this is something that I could really get down with and have some fun doing?
So with TV, let's see. How did that really come about? I think the key was, so UCLA has this extension school here, UCLA Extension, and you can take all sorts of courses there. You can take TV writing, uh, movie script writing, music law, all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
And especially the entertainment classes they're just really cool because they're usually taught by industry people. So I was just flipping through their catalog and I saw there was this reality TV writing course, and it was taught by this guy, Doug Schwartz, and he actually created Baywatch. So legit, like, created it. And
Did
I was
not know
like,
that.
yeah. And I was like, all right, this seems like a really interesting course. And I had actually heard about him through a friend. And I was like, I'm going to take this. So he pretty much just walked us through. It was like 6 weeks or something. He walked us through how to create a reality show pitch, and then at the end of the class, we all pitched ideas to the class. As soon as he taught the class how to write these pitches in PowerPoint, I just started like just knocking ideas out, just
Mhm.
getting whatever down I could on paper. And I came up with a couple ideas, one of which I'll share. It was basically about this talent agency, but they're in the adult entertainment. So it was basically like this group of this agent who represented porn stars.
Mhm.
And he had a bunch of people living at his a condo here in the valley and a house eventually. It was basically like, I don't know if you guys saw, what was it called? Hot Girls Wanted on Netflix.
Yes.
Very, very similar to this concept.
Okay.
But I wrote it in 2005-ish. And I only created it because I happened to meet someone. It just like it all came together.
Mhm.
And Doug, being the creator of Baywatch, and I say this lovingly, knowing a little bit about him, I was like, this guy's gonna love this pitch. So I pitched that idea in the class, and he did love it, and he ended up wanting to take it to Showtime. Where did we go? Showtime, HBO, Playboy, some production companies. Nowadays, I think like it would be a lot easier to pitch that show.
Mhm.
Back
Absolutely.
then, yeah, man. I mean, back then there weren't that many outlets that would carry something like that. So sorry, were you gonna?
No, I was gonna say, so you were ahead of your time, is what it was. That's the thing. You were actually ahead of the shift of where the industry was going. They just didn't know that it was gonna be that much more friendly to that type of content.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. I mean, I actually debate sometimes getting back into TV, not only with that type of idea, but it's a lot different now than
Mhm.
15 years ago, 16 years ago. Um,
So that was going to be one of my questions. Like, do you ever like see yourself getting back in, or waiting for an opportunity that comes by that just seems like you can't pass it up, whether you're on the as a producer on the production end of it, or maybe a creator itself? Do you just see yourself at some point taking an opportunity or taking a chance on something that you really, really believe in?
I do. I do. I would like to. So right now, I still invest in independent film, pretty much
Mhm.
one film a year. It's usually a documentary. I'm usually targeting films that could potentially launch at Sundance, just because it's such a great launch pad. But I think with TV, yes, like I'm still curious about it. I think when I tackled it last time, I partnered with a friend who worked at New Line. We had gotten to know each other. She actually worked in New Line TV, and it was fun. And we created a show that aired on VH1, a series like 13 episodes, something like that. We created a pilot that aired on A&E, and I think for two nobodies, we did pretty well. Um, I think getting that show on VH1 was kind of like, okay, that was like that was like very satisfying. And at a certain point, I realized like this company probably wasn't going to turn into a real business, at least in the short term. If we were still doing it, if we had stuck with it, we stopped doing it 8 years ago. If we had stuck with it, I think, yeah, we'd probably be doing a lot more now. I just couldn't bear it at the time. It was expensive to develop all these concepts. So in the future, though, I do think about like, okay, could I partner with, I still have friends at like ICM or CAA, the agencies. Like, could I go over there and say, hey, who's like a hot up and coming producer that wants to do their own thing and could use a little bit of funding, um, that type of thing, and see if there was something there. The thing that I learned, the thing I reflected on with our journey with TV was the two shows, the show that aired on VH1 and the pilot that aired on A&E, and another show that we did a pilot for, but it never aired. Every time we partnered with really, really good, connected, well-known, capable producers. And I think like at a certain point, we changed agencies. We were at ICM and we went to this smaller one called Kaplan Stoller. And they gave us a lot of time. They gave us a lot of dedication.
Mhm.
I think the thing was they were trying to push us out there a little too far too early. Like we just didn't have the experience,
Mhm.
And it made sense for them because, like, if you're actually the production company on a show, you're making a good amount of money per episode.
Mhm.
We had creator credit, we had writer credit, producer credit on the show we created for VH1, and we got like $3,000 an episode. I'm not saying that's terrible or something, but it's not sustainable when you're trying to like build something bigger. Like we were spending that kind of money on all the ideas that we were developing.
Well, put it in context. For one episode, okay, so you were making $3,000 an episode. How much roughly would one episode cost to make?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think like our producing partner on that episode, on that show, I remember seeing the budget. I think they were getting like 120 grand an episode. It was something like that, where of course some of that money is, well, not just some, but a good amount of that money is going to the actual budget. They're spending money on that. And it may have been more, actually. I can't remember what it was because that number actually sounds low. But for us, I mean, look, we didn't have to do anything. We created the show. We were each getting $3,000 an episode. So yeah, that's nice. But in terms of sustainability, it just wasn't sustainable. Going back to it though, like if I could find a partner, even if it were my old partner who I'm still friends with, Jerome, I think you met her, Aisha.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. She, you know, whether it was partnering with her or someone else who's kind of up and coming and experienced in this in that world, I'm definitely interested in doing it. I guess I haven't reached that level of interest where I'm like that tipping point where I have to explore it, but I'm into it. Yeah. I'd want to do more.
So you say you've been trying to find some documentaries that you could get premiered at Sundance.
Yeah.
What are some of the ones that you maybe have been looking at and saying, I'm hoping I can get this one here. I'm hoping we can do something special with this.
Yeah. So let's see. Last year, God, trying to remember the name.
Just tell us what it's about. That's more so the subject matter.
Okay.
Because that'll probably spark it in your brain.
Sure. Oh yeah. It's called Raising Liberty Square.
Okay.
And it's a film about climate change, as well as what I think they call environmental racism. It's a really interesting film. It's basically like in Miami or in Florida in general, you know, the buildings that were the high rises on the ocean were like the place that you wanted to be at one point, right? But with climate change, as the sea level rises, you know, these buildings are probably going to be in trouble in the next X number of decades, right?
People have predicted within the next 30 years that majority of downtown Miami will have to be pumping water out at a great amount every day. They're already pumping out of their streets every day. Now they're saying it's going to be to the point to where they're probably going to actually have to install systems to do this just to keep the city sustainable, for those that don't understand.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah.
So the property value, so what certain developers have realized is that the property more inland in Florida is going to be more valuable. You know, people will still want to live in Florida, but you're not going to want to be living oceanside, right? So some developers have gone in and, you know, they're trying to buy this land at very cheap prices, just trying to get people to move on so they can develop, you know, sort of extreme gentrification, you know, add big buildings, all of that kind of stuff. So this film is about what's happening there in Florida. Nice. It unfortunately it didn't get into Sundance. They tried for this year. We did invest in the film, but it didn't get into Sundance. But I'm sure it'll have a really good journey of its own. So yeah, that was the last one.
I'm interested to see it. I must say I'm going to need to check that out myself, because that's always something that catches my fancy. I mean, if you're talking about gentrification, we can just, for people that don't get it, look at Brooklyn. Go look at Brooklyn. and the 90s and early 2000s, and now look at Brooklyn from about 2010 on. It looks markedly different, not only from
it's
buildings.
The same down here in Houston, man. You go look at like our theater districts and downtown in general, and they've done a lot in those areas to clean them up.
Yes. It's always the clean it up, make it nicer, all this other BS. But that's a whole different discussion here. But so gotta ask now, since we're here, we always like to have a little bit of fun with our guest. So we're gonna ask here first, Blaine, you are a massive lover of old school gangster music. I'm talking about West Coast, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, all that. How has your love for that maintained over all these years? Because look, I promise y'all right now, if I go throw on the Chronic in this man's house, he will be bumping it from front to back and know damn near all the lyrics. I promise you.
The love still remains. I was thinking about, how people ask, like, what's your favorite movie? Who's your favorite musician or artist? I think those, if I were to really think about it, those artists are still my favorite. Like if I hear anything, Dr. Dre, Snoop, Tupac, Corrupt, that whole group, in terms of like songs created that I love, they're by far at the top, and they still cycle through what I listen to. So yeah.
So that means you must have loved the G-Funk Super Bowl we had this year, then, right?
Yeah. That was special. That was like ultimate LA Super Bowl halftime show. That was really special. That was good.
Not gonna lie, if I had your money, I would be like, "Hey, I'm paying to go see this Dr. Dre concert. I don't get the Super Bowl. Y'all can keep it. I'm here to see Dre." Okay.
I hear you.
But with that in mind, we have to ask then, Blaine's top 5 rap albums of all time.
Oh, wow. Well, it's probably all going to be like Death Row related. And in no particular order, but The Chronic, Doggy Style, All Eyes on Me. Actually, I might mix it up a bit. Ready to Die, Biggie is certainly in there. What else still shows up for me? Life After Death as well. So, I guess I'm just like, if you look at it, I'm as mainstream as it gets in terms of top 5.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Those are all classics, okay? Those are all albums you can play from front to back all day long. And if you don't like them, for all the children out here that's watching this, the youngins,
we don't care about y'all right now.
Get your mind right, okay?
Y'all too young. Y'all too young for this episode.
Oh man, so we try not to wade into these waters too much, but I have to ask, since it did happen recently.
Yeah.
All right, man. So if you were Will Smith, would you want a wife like Jada, who out here? First off, she out here crying at your wedding. Then she out here telling all your business in the streets, all of this stuff. So I have to ask Blaine. We asked our last guest, John Torres, the stand-up comedian, if he wanted. He said depends on how much money she got. So I have to ask you, would you want a wife like that? Because I know Esther ain't like that, but I'm just saying, would you want a wife like that?
Okay, I'll probably give you a surprising answer, okay? Here's what I'll say. I think I am cool with the whole non-monogamy, polyamory, like that whole world, especially if a man wants to sleep with whoever he wants to sleep with. I think like allowing, or I shouldn't even say allowing, but being cool with
having an agreement.
Having that agreement. If someone's wife or partner, girlfriend, whatever, husband wants to do that, okay, sure. I think for Will, I think the whole thing with, because of the way society is, her out with, it was August, right?
Yep. Out there with August.
Yeah, doing the photos publicly, like all that kind of stuff, and then sort of getting like busted.
Mhm.
Yeah,
She
that would
didn't get busted. She told on herself.
have right. But then people like looking back and being like, "Oh my God, yeah, she did that, she did this." I mean, society-wise, that's tough for Will to deal with, and certainly tough for her to deal with too. But I think, man, I do think that when I saw the Chris Rock thing and his reaction, and all I could think was like, man, this must be rooted in that sort of, there's some level of like insecurity
Mhm.
data going on there,
Well, when she
Um,
always out here confessing her love for Tupac every year, I bet there is some insecurity. Every year she look up and it's "Happy birthday, Tupac, I miss you."
Right? It's an open love letter to Tupac once a year.
yeah, that would be tough. That would be tough. And then the thing is too, if someone is in that type of sort of open relationship, I think like security and safety, and I'm talking mentally,
Mhm.
in addition to physically, of course, but is so important. And for her, I didn't even read I think you mentioned it. I didn't even read the piece where she said she never wanted to marry him and all that kind of. I'm like, oh my
Mhm.
God, man, that's the last thing this dude needs right now. Like,
Exactly.
so yeah, I mean, so the short answer is I'm cool with the whole non-monogamy, polyamory, whatever they want to do. But I think like from there, it really needs to be about support,
Mhm.
security, that kind of thing. So
That's a truthful answer. Now, Mace, what you said, the America ain't gonna stop till what happened?
People, they're not gonna stop until Will becomes an active shooter. And I said that
Yeah.
jokingly, man, but at the same time, you see the things that he's going through, and it's always a new report from Jada or somebody close to Jada about she did this or she did that, or like I said, the whole crying at the wedding because you didn't want to marry him. Your option A was dead and you were just stuck there. You were stuck with the nice guy at that point. So I mean, stuff like that. I mean, it has to be taxing on Will, and
oh yeah,
we hope that he has the support around him outside of her, because I mean, clearly he's not getting it from her. So
no,
hopefully he has the support to keep him in a good place, in a good mental space, because like I said, I said it as a joke, but at the same time, we don't know what pushes people over the edge.
Yep, that's factual. That's factual.
agreed.
So now, all that being said, I have to ask here. So with you now being, so you've moved forward, like you're the boss now. You have employees now, right? What are the things that you are doing to make sure that your employees are staying right state of mind? That it's not that things that you're asking are not becoming too mentally taxing and causing mental breaks on people. What are the steps and the I guess for lack of better terms, like the terms that you've put in place in your own mind to say, I'm going to make sure that we don't get this, and I'm going to do XYZ to make sure my employees don't end up in a bad situation mentally. Because I know, especially in society now, right? A lot of the complaints that the average worker has is that, hey, it feels like my job doesn't give two shits about me, right? So what are the things that you are doing now to make sure that, hey, anybody that works for me does not feel that way?
Let's see. So I think I'm a better boss now than I was when I had my company. And not that I was bad then, I just didn't know as much. So now I really have two team members. If we leave out the wine bar for a minute, I
Mhm.
really have two team members that I'm working with day to day. Um, Andrew, who's based in the US, and then Camille, who's based in the Philippines. And I think, how do I do this? I try to I try to create an environment where people can be open, and transparent. And I guess even more importantly, I tried to hire for people who would be transparent
Mhm.
and who would be willing to speak up and who would be loyal. So in a way, like I feel I trust my team. And I think like the funny thing that's happening right now is because I've chilled out a decent amount. Like we have stuff to work on. It's just not crazy like it used to be. When
Mhm.
it's crazy, it's easy to say like, all right, we got to do this, this, that, blah, 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 all that. We don't have that right now. So it's more just being thoughtful about like what we want to work on. Um, and what am I trying to say here? I think one thing I've realized, and I told my team, was that I don't want to set the example anymore. I'm not going to work crazy hard, crazy hours or something because I believe that you need to see that in order for you to work hard.
Mhm.
So I think like the funny thing is what I'm saying is like I've actually just been changing how I think about working.
Mhm.
And as long as I'm leaving the door open for open conversation, feedback, I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to support the team in what they want to do. I think my biggest job right now is making sure that they are challenged. Not that they are working hard on nonstop on everything, but they are challenged and that they want to keep working
Mhm.
for me. So sorry, that I think that's like a vague, all over the place answer, but that's kind of where I'm at right now, you know?
No, that's reasonable. That's more than reasonable. I think you're giving a lot of what most people would want, right? Which is, hey, you're giving people anonymity to do your job, but you're also saying, hey, here are some things that will leave you challenged, and I trust you to figure them out, which is great. I know all of us here can't stand to be micromanaged by anybody, so it's never a good time when someone tries to do that. So,
So it seems that the main characteristic I would say that you look for would probably be the self motivation. In that, do you see yourself, like I said, you benefited a lot from an internship? Do you see yourself eventually being taking on internship like internees
Yeah.
at some point, or if you're not already?
Yes. Yes. I I am I would like to have I've had interns at my previous companies. Um, at this one, I would like us to get to a place where, yes, we could bring on interns. I think no matter what, I do preach internships being good. I did one in Chicago. It was 1 day a week for like 6 weeks. Doesn't seem like much, but I learned a lot and I met some great people. Still in touch with some of them, and that was like 20 years ago. So I want to pay it forward with that. Whether it's having interns at my own company or at least exposing young people to different work environments, however that may play out. I definitely want to do that.
so with that in mind, I have to ask now. Truthfully, what is your American dream in all of this, right? What is your end goal for all of this? What is it that you're planning on doing with the power, the money, the change that you can present on people's lives? What is it that you dream to do? That's that maybe that next level of where I'm doing this work now because I want to have the power to do this. What is it that you dream of? Because all of us from a start, right? We all have a lot of the same basic things, right? We want to provide for our families. We want to have a good, whatever's a good life in our mind, right? We want to be able to have that. So it's different levels for everybody, right? Like our last interview we did with John. His American dream plan is to essentially be making the same amount of money he's making at his full-time job now, but just traveling the road doing comedy. He doesn't care. And he eventually one day do arenas. That's it. He doesn't want to be super rich, but he wants to be able to affect change with his career. So what are the things that you are dreaming of to do? What is your truthful American dream, like in your heart, in your soul?
Yeah, so I would say it's evolving, and I'm in a moment right now where it's changing. I think for a long time there, um, going back all the way to the days where we both lived in Darien, at some point in my mind, I got this idea that, all right, I want to make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it was really rooted in freedom, because a lot of money, I ended up making more money than I thought that I would. But even I can look back 20 years and be like, okay, yeah, I was happy. Like I was doing well. I was able to travel a little bit, have fun with friends, all that kind of stuff. Um, I think something I realized about myself was that I not only wanted freedom for myself, but I really couldn't, I really can't stand injustice and other people not being free.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I was involved in this North Korea related nonprofit. I'm still
Yep.
involved with them. Just kind of like the ultimate country that's a prison, like
Mm-hmm.
real, ultimate like lack of freedom. Um, so I focused a lot of energy on that for about 7 years. I'm still involved. I'm just not on the board anymore. Um, and I think I guess what's happening right now, you know, with my company, with Student Brands, I had it from when I was 18 all the way to 36. So that was at that time, my entire adult life.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew what I was going to do every day for those 18 years. I knew exactly what I was going to do. It's been almost 5 years now since I haven't had that company. And I'd say I'm still like regrouping. I'm still like figuring out, okay, like what do I want to do? I think it's in terms of impact, I still want to focus on issues of freedom,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's here in the United States or North Korea still, or whatever it may be, like that still calls me. Um, Actually, I didn't even mention this to you, but Esther is pregnant.
Oh,
Congratulations.
my man. Congratulations.
Thanks. Thanks. So, we're only at the like 3.5 month mark. So it still hasn't fully kicked in, but I am curious like how that's going to change, the journey that I'm on, like what I want to do. You talked about providing for family and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see how that fits in here too. But I am the short answer is I'm in this moment of transition still. When I was in this moment of transition, like 4.5 years ago, I was like rushing to figure out like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what am I going to do now? How am I going to spend my time? What am I, like all that. And I think I figured out a lot. Like last year was one of the busiest years of my life in terms of the investing I was doing. I did this
Mm-hmm.
coaching program. I brought on Andrew. I brought on Camille. Um, there's more that I'm not even thinking of, but there was something else. Oh, I'm doing this fellowship in the venture capital space. So last year was just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This year I'm regrouping, and I would like to figure out what is that, what is the long term for me? What do I want? What is that purpose? So
So with the prospects now of being a father here, do you see yourself thinking about like what is the legacy I can leave for your child or things of that
yeah.
nature? Do you see like there's something you want to build for them to take on if that's what they want to do with their life as well?
Yes, I do. I do think about that. I think about legacy. Um, I might, I don't know, like I might create something that could be handed down. I at least hope that I can just help develop a person who gives back in their own way, and does something positive for the world. Um, but yeah, I do think about legacy. You know, I think about it in relation to my children, but also just how am I spending my time? You know, like I see a lot of different people doing things that it just seems like they're doing what they're meant to be doing. I actually was at a little event 2 nights ago where the mayor of New York was there and he spoke for like 5 minutes. And seeing someone like that, Eric Adams, I was just like, damn, this dude is on a mission. He really knows what he wants to do. I don't even know I don't know a ton about his politics or how he's perceived in New York,
Mhm.
but I do know seeing him speak, I was like, man, I gotta, I gotta do something. So, I'm thinking about legacy in that way, you know, like what am I gonna spend my time on that hopefully will carry on beyond me, you know?
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You were talking about freedom, and I really want to touch on that, right? Because freedom is a very important tenet to everything that I can see it overlaps everything that you're doing, right? Whether it's how you're handling your business, whether it's how you're trying to live your life, right? It all comes down to freedom. I mean, hell, freedom from the emails, like you said, being slave to the emails every morning, right?
Yes.
So would it be fair to say that part of your American dream is trying to get more people to the level of freedom that you know you have already experienced yourself?
I'd say you're onto something there. I I'm trying to get to I'm trying to get to I think we're all trying to get to like this level of like enlightenment. You
Mhm.
know, like I'm hoping that I think of myself in 10 years from now and I'm hoping that I'm more zen, you know, if you know what I mean. If you've ever met, I know you have, you know, an older person that just seems
Mhm.
so chill, you know, and doesn't get worked up about the simple stuff, right? Um, I think at a certain I think I think I foolishly thought that was kind of like an overnight thing. Like you just gotta figure a few things out, you know, get some anger dealt with,
Mhm.
get some sadness dealt with, whatever, and boom, like overnight, I'm zen, you know? But I think it is a long journey, and I feel it in myself, a calming, like, I'm getting there. Uh, I know I have a ways to go, and I think, you know, I briefly mentioned I did this coaching program last year. It was actually a coaching certification program to
Mhm.
coach other people, and that program was invaluable. Actually, that book came to the desk that I mentioned. That was a required reading of this program. So the program ended up affecting me just as much as I did work with some clients and stuff like that during the program. But I do want to, I'm trying to get myself in the best mental shape possible, actually physical too. So I can hopefully give back to others, help people with whatever they're working through. I'm just
Mhm.
using myself as a guinea pig in terms of health related stuff, mental training related stuff, um, anything. So yeah, that's been my focus. That's a big part of my focus right now.
So would it be fair to say that outside of the freedom, it's finding balance and peace of mind?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Balance balance has been a big part of it. Because actually a couple people told me recently, freedom is really in the mind.
Mhm.
Like if you think about even in a relationship, like with a significant other, it's easy to be like, man, my wife or my girlfriend won't let me do this or that, or whatever it may be, or they're always holding me back, or blah blah, like this type of shit. And I think, like, for me, realizing that freedom was really in my mind. It's not about other people or other tasks or other whatever. And I say that in the world we live in, of course, like, but yeah, so reaching that freedom and also that balance has been really important for me. Um, that's true with work, like work in itself can be like, workaholism is looked at as like a positive in the United States, right?
Mhm.
But really it's this like codependency on work. Just like someone could be addicted to drugs or alcohol, they can be addicted to work, because it's an escape in its own weird way, So
That's
yeah,
why
just
some the older people we've known over our lives, right, have been like, man, I don't know what I'd do if I retired, because they are chained to that job. That is
Like
their,
for
that's what gives them
instance,
meaning.
my when my grandfather, he had to retire early because of a heart attack, and I was fairly young then, but you could still tell that there were those first few years where it was he didn't know what to do. Well,
yes,
you don't know what to do with yourself at that point. Like you work, that's it. And now that you're physically unable to, you don't know what to do.
yes, yeah. Yeah, and I think it's totally normal. It's just this totally normal feeling that I saw that with my dad and my stepdad. It's like, okay, now you like wake up one day and how do you spend your time? You know? So I'm trying to figure that out. Trying to figure that out.
So would you say that, because like I said, I've known you for so long, so I know how I feel about this and this question in my mind, but I want to ask you directly. Do you feel like, since you've had Esther in your life, that it's caused you to pull back a little bit from the work stuff and start valuing the human stuff more?
Yes, it has been since I've had Esther in my life. I'm not sure though if she is the actual reason or if it's my evolution on my own. I'm not
Mhm.
sure.
It's okay, because we all look.
So
I ain't
we
gonna
all
lie.
have to have that little catalyst in us that gets us
Yeah,
going. So I
I ain't
mean,
gonna lie. I was much harder years ago before I decided to let her soften me up some, and now I've softened up. But yes, I was much harder and much more callous. Trust me. And so that's the reason why I asked, right? Because I know from my own experience, right?
Yeah.
Now more in tune with my emotions than I was before, right? Now I know
Mm.
as men that for all of us that's a little weird waters to step in, but reality says we all have emotions. We're all human beings, right? So kind of got to be in tune with them.
Yeah.
Now I'm more willing to allow things to affect me, right? So if something wants to bring me to tears, fuck it, it just brings me to tears. It is what it is, right? Where years ago it might have been, nah, you can't be over here crying, bro. What you doing? There's no crying in baseball. Like basically, that was my whole mentality, right? So that's why I asked. So
Yeah.
since she's been in your life, has she been something that you've realized has had an effect on you to, I guess, for lack of better terms, soften you a little bit? Because I always tell people all the time, the world of men is hard and harsh. You have to have kind of a hard and harsh shell to deal with it. But have you allowed her now to start softening you up a little bit?
Okay. Yeah, the way you word it there makes sense to me. I mean, marriage and being with her has definitely softened me up a bit. Um, I am more, I almost surprise myself, that I've stuck with it because it is hard, you
Mhm.
know?
Oh yeah, relationships can be hard, man. It's
Yeah.
just not always easy. Hey, Daryl, you know too. Daryl will tell you. Daryl be having to throw on the noise cancellation because he be like, "Oh Lord, is she gonna lose it?" Damn kids be driving her crazy, and then she come in and start messing with my man Daryl. He be like, "Oh man, oh."
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've definitely softened up a bit. And just, yeah, getting better at compromise.
So, do you find yourself watching The Bachelor or Bachelorette, or maybe the amazing? Maybe your wife is an amazing race woman. I mean, do you find yourself watching shows that you would never watch on your own?
You know, we did watch Bachelor and Bachelorette, not the recent one, but
See, she got
we've
you.
gone back and watched it. So
Oh boy.
That's because she's just breaking you in. She's trying to be like, here. Let's just ease them in real quick so that we can start
Next thing
this
you
stuff
know,
on the
you're gonna be
regular.
watching the Ultimatum,
right.
all those.
Oh, you mean like how you watching Euphoria? You mean like that?
Hey, bro, that was actually a pretty good show, and I'm ready for season 3.
You notice he's just making my point, right? You notice that, right?
Hey man, these are very entertaining shows. No doubt about it. So
Hey, I cannot fault y'all though. The wife's got me with the baking shows and stuff, dog. Like I get down with them baking, like competitive baking. I'm with it. Let's go. Let me see what you got. Like I know we all fall prey to it. Daryl, what the wife that got you watching? Because you the only one didn't tell us now. See, these two got The Bachelor and Euphoria, and I got baking shows. What is it for you, Daryl?
It's worse for me because she's like a Twilight fan, so anything that goes to vampires and everything.
Oh, so you have to watch like Lucifer and all the other like
she just got done finishing now. I just be sitting in the living room is like, what am I watching?
Vampire Diaries, you watched that one?
Yes, that was all on the line. Vampire Diaries, the prequel to it, all that stuff. It was too much.
See, we all got to do it. Ain't nobody safe, man. Ain't nobody safe from it. But that being said, though, I have to ask here.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, now you're gonna be a family man. You're gonna be a dad now, right? I've always told you you're gonna be an excellent dad. It's something that I know at times in your life you were like, we'll see what's up. You know, if it happens, it happens, right? But you're going to be a great dad. So I have to ask, what are the values that you're hoping to instill into your child that are a part of your American dream? That are the things that you say, if I can't teach you anything, or if I can't teach you everything, at least I taught you these things. At least I know I gave you these core tenets to your life.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
I apologize ahead of time. I'm about to be biting in the sandwich, fellas. I'm hungry as shit right now. I haven't eaten yet, so please excuse me.
All good. I think they're the usual things.
Well, hold on. What's the usual things? Because it's not the same for everybody. That's why I want to ask, what are those usual things in your mind? Because one thing that I think we have, we all view common sense kind of as everybody thinks this way. Well, this is part of the reason I'm trying to pick everybody's brains, because it's all somewhat the same, but the intricacies are different. Everybody's got different minutiae. So what's yours? What are those things that you want to instill?
Okay. Yeah. So start with the easy ones, be kind to all people. Work hard. And I say that with an asterisk, just because I don't necessarily want my kids to work in the way that I did. I don't necessarily recommend it. But still work hard for what you want. I do want to teach entrepreneurship early. Just this idea of like, you can start something if you want to. I also I think about, even for us, like playing video games way back in the day, if I had known, I didn't realize early on that, this could be a job. Like we could be working for Nintendo or something like,
our parents' generation was like, get this video games. There's no job
outside.
in that.
Yeah, go outside.
Right. Exactly. So just kind of keeping an open mind for if my kids have a passion, even, if it's related to video games or anything that I see on an iPad or a computer, whatever, like, why not think of yourself being the person who made this thing you're playing? Why not explore that? Um, I actually something that I will work on with my kids a lot is school. I wish that I had tried harder in school. That's like I don't really want to say it's a regret, but I do wish I could go back. So I think it took me a long time to kind of figure out the game of school, like just get this stuff done, hand it in, do your best without overdoing it, because I think a lot of parents overdo it too. Um,
So is
yeah,
there a part of you that believes that you could have gotten to where you want to sooner if you would have taken it more serious at the time, if you would have understood and it would have been explained to you in a better way and presented to you in a better way? Because that's one thing I agree with you 100% on. School was not presented right to everyone. They
yeah,
have to present it in the proper way. Otherwise, it can feel very much like, hey, why am I doing the same bullshit over and over? Especially when you're someone who picks something up relatively quickly. When you're going over the same stuff over and over and over, you're like, well, what the fuck am I here for?
exactly, exactly. Yes, I mean, I think I don't know. It's so funny. Like with our paths, you never know what would have happened. Like maybe I would have done well in school, gotten into a great college, and then been hit by a car. Who knows? Um, but from what I see now, like some of the networks that I'm a part of, like this venture capital network that I mentioned, the people I can just see, like, man, if you did well in high school and you went to like the extreme Harvard, but even like many notches below that, it's like, yeah, you got to meet some people, that I don't know, you never know where those paths will take you. So I think for me, the way I think about school now is like it doesn't have to be hard. There is a point to do, like it can lead to a lot of good things.
Mm-hmm.
So I just I just want to at least push to the kids to do their best. That's it. Like um I also, on the kind of money side, I want the kids to, work, buy their own car.
Mm-hmm.
And, nothing comes easy. That kind of like material stuff. Um so just instilling that kind of stuff, like this takes work. Um I think that's really important to me. Um yeah, man. I mean, those are the main things that come to mind.
So with all of that, right?
Mhm.
I have to ask, where do you feel like you learn those values from?
Yeah, I think my parents, I think well, so my parents didn't my dad and mom went to good schools, and I don't think they knew what to do with me because I wasn't naturally good at school. I didn't really get it. I didn't really want to be there. I wanted to be socializing, hanging out with friends, playing video games, whatever it was.
You know what the crazy part is about you saying that?
What's that?
Dude, you've always been one of the smartest fucking people I've known. Like I've known some motherfuckers that have went to Harvard. I know like I think two mathematicians and shit. Like I know some really fucking smart people. But you, my friend, have always been like you and Aaron, bro, have literally always been
Mhm.
you two right here. And
Mhm.
so it's kind of it's interesting to me to see that you didn't really view you didn't view yourself as that. Why is that you didn't really view yourself so much early on as that? Is it because of the linear the linear progression progress, the linear path that's given to you from school that you weren't viewing yourself as these things that maybe others did?
I mean, dude, I was just dumb about school. And I mean, I just didn't play the game. Like I a kid should come home just knock out the homework and then do whatever you want to do. You know, for me, I come home, you know, get on playing video games, watching a movie, going over to a friend's house, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then I often just wouldn't even get to the homework, or I'd like half-ass it or something, you know, like same with studying for tests. And then even the simple tactics, like I didn't really learn how to use flashcards until freaking college, you know, and those are probably like the easiest tool you can use for memorizing something for a class, you know, memorizing stuff for a test. I never used them.
See, I'm right there with you. Like I totally get it. It's that feeling of the stuff comes so easy that you feel like it's more of a task now than a way to uplift you into whatever you're trying to do. It school for a lot of kids is a task, maybe not so much because they had difficulty learning, it just because it came so easy that you put little to no effort into it. So you gotten may have gotten to a point where you're just done with, you're ready to wash your hands of it and get to something more difficult. So I definitely do get you on that, like the little nuances, like you said, like the whole even learning flashcard, like using flashcards as a tool to help you in school. You don't feel like you need it until you actually need it. So yeah, I definitely get that.
And I'm also saying, like, I wish I had, I didn't put in the time. Yeah, like I remember in junior high, I was thinking about this the other day for some reason. I had this science class, I think it was like period 2 or something. And then I think the next class was a math class, I think, whatever it was. And there were like 3 of us at my table in the science class who were always doing the math homework for the next class right before the class took place. And it's
I
like,
remember those days.
and it's
Yeah.
just like, why did we wait that long? Like, it wouldn't have been that hard to do it at 3 p.m. the day before, and then, you know, go over to Jerome's house or something and hang out. You know, like I just did not utilize my time properly.
I think that's a big thing for all kids is time management.
Yes.
Because everything is pretty much on a schedule for us in school. So when it comes to our own times, it's kind of like, what do we do with it?
Yes.
So yeah, that the whole time management aspect, I do think that's a very big issue for kids in general. Like even in school nowadays, time management is huge.
Well, hell, Blaine, I can tell you that's part of the reason Destiny's in her honors classes, because it was getting to the point to her to where there wasn't a challenge, right? She wasn't being challenged by what she was learning. It wasn't a, hey, I need to take some time to actually get this down. It was more so a, hey, I already got this. Can we keep it moving?
Yes.
So now she's in the honors classes. And I think that's one thing the school system does a poor job of, is recognizing where everyone's different levels of learning ability is. And I understand that for our school system, right, we have to have a basic level for everyone. But I think we need to do a better job identifying, okay, because most of us are going to be right at the level, right? Most of us are going to be here. But who's above it? Who's below it? We have to do a much better job identifying that. I can tell you, look, I ain't talking down on nobody's kids, but some of them kids is dummies. Okay, it happens. This is how we get some dumb people in this world. Some people have to be dumb. It's just the way genetics shakes out, right? So we get we get those people, and we have to accept that. So now, how do we do the best job of empowering those people? So along the lines of what we were already talking about, what is something that you've already seen that you say, just in society in general, we need to do a better job preparing people for this?
Hey guys, can you give me 1 second? I just need to get my power cord.
Do you think? Do you think?
I'll be right back.
No worries. Daryl, why you look so sleepy?
Because I ain't getting no rest.
Hey,
Why
man,
ain't you getting no rest? I thought you was off for a
because
couple
he
weeks.
got he watching them kids.
Yeah, she's not here.
Where's she at?
Work.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh fuck. Well, look, nigga, you just gotta get Mia to the old enough age to where you can be like, look, Mia, there better not be no bullshit when I wake up.
Yeah, right. She just dumped a half a can of formula last night.
Yo, that's your baby, nigga. That's female Daryl.
Fucking a lot better. He just tosses everything off the freaking table.
Give me a second. I gotta piss real quick.
I'm getting me some water. I need ice cold water.
And then there was just me.
All right. I'm back.
What Daryl said, he needed some water.
What time are you guys going to?
Our movie
Doctor
is
Strange?
2:45.
Okay.
Still made that matinee, baby.
My boy.
I'll say I don't believe in it.
You going IMAX 3D or just regular?
Just regular IMAX.
Okay.
Well, see, at our theater we have like the IMAX laser. I don't know what that is, but they didn't have no matinees for it.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. What the fuck is the IMAX? Let me see.
IMAX with laser.
What is that? Lightness bright. Oh,
Okay, sorry about
so
that.
basically it's like increased brightness. No worries. We were actually over here figuring out what IMAX laser 3D was. What's the difference between like that and regular IMAX 3D? But apparently it's just brightness. That's it.
Okay. So Jerome, what was your question again?
Okay, so obviously, like, right, in society, there are some things that we feel we could be doing better to equip people for the world that we have, right? I think a lot of what we do currently is we're trying to equip people for the world that we want instead of the world that we have. So what are some of those things that you feel like just in general in society, whether it's through school, parenting, just society setting the standard in general, what are those things that you feel we could be doing a better job preparing people for this world in?
Okay. I think the things that are coming to mind for me, I think society is working on. But let's see. So I would say entrepreneurship, just teaching more and more that people can kind of do their own thing, which I think is being taught decently. I'm not in the school system or anything, but I think it's out there more and more now, right? Computer science. I can't believe like some friends who are in that world. I have a friend who's a web developer. He's pretty good. And when he interviews for jobs these days, they're paying like $400,000 or $500,000 a year. And I'm just like, how is that possible? That makes no sense. So clearly there's a need. There's a humongous need for more people doing that type of thing. And then, I mean, going back, well, I don't know. I mean, those two answers are very much based on like the world that I play in, you know?
But the world you play in is a world that can lead to great amounts of success. So that's why I asked. So that because I understand you're almost feeling kind of myopic giving the answer, right? But that's what I want you to do. I want you to be myopic because people, don't necessarily realize we all have these same human thoughts about these things. And we don't necessarily know that even the person that's in the field says, we should be going about this. We should be teaching people more of this to make things better, to move us forward. You know, so it's okay. Be myopic. That's fine.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, those things stick out for me. I'm trying to think, like, yeah, those are the main things that I think of, unless you have any direction that you want to head down that we can
So
talk.
yeah, I get it, because a lot of times we look on it as things that we wish that we would have gotten at an
Yeah.
early age. Like, for instance, I mean, learning about credit or just money management, things of that nature, like that. Those seem, for the most part, those seems to be things that a lot of people wish they learned about earlier, learned how to do this or that with their money, with credit and things of that nature. So you have to look inward when you answer that question, simply because that the best way anybody knows how to answer it is to, what do I wish I would have known at an earlier age?
Yeah, that's a great point. And that example that you gave about credit money management is perfect.
No, we all went to pretty good schools, and I don't think any of us really were taught about it to the level that we should be.
Totally. And actually, oh geez, this brings up another good point. But really, like, emotional intelligence should be taught more. Just this idea of, like, I don't even know what direction it is, but dealing with difficult situations, like, just it's stuff that everyone deals with.
Mhm.
I mean, hell, there's this thing that I wish I'd taken a class there. I still have not done it. There's this school called the School of Life. I think it's in Europe. I think they may have had it here in the US at one point. It was in Korea. It doesn't look to be there anymore. But they teach, like, how to be confident, how to find love, like, how to, like, all this, like, the stuff that kind of everyone wants to know.
Mhm.
Like, why don't we even teach those practical things in school? And instead, as adults, or really transitioning to adults, we're just kind of thrown out into the world, and we kind of have to figure all that stuff out on our own.
I mean, in a 3-month period, you go from having to ask somebody if you want to go to the restroom, to knowing how to manage your time, knowing
Yes.
how to get up on your own and make your way somewhere. So I mean, yeah, it's crazy to think that there are so many questions unanswered going from early adulthood into adulthood and further on, and there's just no training
Yes.
whatsoever into it.
Agreed.
So I have to finish it up with one last question here, and this is one that it's hard to phrase, but I'll do the best that I can for you, right? And it goes back to your legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we all got to go in the dirt at some point, right? But when you're in the dirt and when people are looking back on your legacy, what's the word that you want them to think of? It's a hard one, right? I know, like, one word to hell. You can even give me a couple of words. What is it that you want to be remembered for? Boy, I stumped him. Yes.
Something about, like,
Here, I got you. I'll tell you. Me, what I want to be loved, what I want to be remembered for is simple as this: love.
Okay.
I want to be remembered for love, in the fact that, hey, I loved my people and I helped take care of them. I love those around me and I helped try to make their lives better. And I brought more love into people's life. That's what I want to be remembered for, is love. So what do you want to be remembered for?
Yeah, it's going in a similar direction, something along the lines of, like, if it had to be one word or a couple words, it's like words like he cared, he tried, like, just I and I say that in the sense like, I guess I'm relating that to, I do want to, legacy is really about like having this impact on other people's lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's the freedom related stuff that we talked about, or maybe being a good boss or a good coworker, or a good friend or spouse, lover, whatever it may be. Yeah, that's what I'd want to be remembered by, you know.
That is a beautiful thing, because honestly, one thing that we don't have enough of in this world is love, and enough showing everybody that we care. It's like you could tell you can ask these guys. I always try to remind them, hey man, I love you guys, man, good stuff, care about you guys. So hell, Blaine, when we get every time we get done talking, I say, hey man, I love you. I'll talk to you later, because I want people to know that, hey man, you got this love out here. Even if on your darkest day you feel like nobody loves you, I want it to always be known that, hey, I do. I got love for you. You always at least got one person. And I think that's a powerful thing for people to know, that you cared and that you were trying for them. I think is a very beautiful and powerful thing. It's something that I think if more people valued their legacy in that way, we could get a lot further along just in general in society. Because when you show people that you care, and when you show people that you're willing to try, you can get a very, very, very long way.
Yes, agreed, man. Agreed.
So I have to ask, since I put mine out there, Mace, what do you want your legacy to be remembered as?
I would probably say my confidence, or the outward confidence that I displayed, so maybe somebody else could maybe see that I at least outwardly felt sure about myself, so they could have that going on, like, okay, well, it's okay to be confident in yourself. It's okay to be assured of your decisions. Because I mean, truthfully, I'm unsure. I'm not confident. I mean, I'm in school currently trying to change my career. So I mean, that's something that's scary. You're unsure about. You're like, I've done the same thing for the last 10 years and it's comfortable. But I have that confidence in myself that I can change careers and be successful. So that outward confidence, whether inward I felt unsure about myself or unconfident in what I was doing, I just want to leave that on the table, like, hey, it's okay to be confident. It's okay to be assured. It's okay to think that you can do this. It's okay to think that whatever you need to do, like, you're capable.
Daryl, what do you want your legacy to be of?
Boy, Mace been stealing everything from me today. So, so it's just like, I'll just think it, and then it's like, oh, he got it. But it was gonna be confidence, but I will say a finisher. The reason I'll say a finisher, because is not only the confidence to like make sure like I get things done, but I have to make sure things are done. So like I'm not letting any little thing just get past. Like I need it to be done. Like they know that like if something was supposed to be done and that was the mission, that is going to be the mission, and that's done. Like it's not going to be left. Like I don't want no one to feel like you start something and it's okay to just leave it behind and then just go start another thing. Like you have to keep on finishing it. That's how I wanted it to be.
Beautiful. That's beautiful by all of you there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have to thank you for sitting in with our interview here with Blaine. We're going to try and bring him back more so we can mess with him some more about his gangster rap love. I didn't even get to the Shock G story, bro, when he got to meet Shock G. We didn't even get there. So I have to make sure that he comes back again, because rest in peace, my man Shock. But yes, Shock G, you always got love over here, baby. Always. But yes, we have to thank you everyone for sitting through with our interview here with another episode of Land of Many. Blaine, man, we really, really thank you for coming through today. We appreciate this very, very much, sir.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure.